So I thought I'd do a little weekly update. It's been a week now since I left, last Wednesday on the 1st of June. And it's another Wednesday. So maybe I'll do every Wednesday. I'll try and do some sort of little update of how things have been going. If you're watching this series so far, cool. I hope you like it. I would say don't forget to like and subscribe. But I read that story about the little boy who said goodnight to his grandmother, and as she tucked him into bed, he just sort of said, don't forget to like and subscribe, as if it was like a farewell, you know. Anyway, so I started off in Pontyclun. I had to pretty much walk the old Llantrisant road into Cardiff, which wasn't as nice. Really, I saw my uncle on the way. That was cool. We had a little tour. Went and then stayed with my cousin in Cardiff. I sat in Llandaff, and quite a funny thing in Llandaff, there was all these little hoodlums that came up, and I was a little bit worried. I was sitting there, and it's just all these hoodlums, and they were all this gangster accent and all this stuff, and it was quite funny. But then one of them was talking about having a piss down some alley. And the other one was like, oh, that's disgusting, bruv. That's someone's house. And it was such a contrast, they had this gangster attitude, but yeah, he was also a very respectable young man. So yeah, I stayed in Cardiff. We went and had breakfast the next day in this sort of Indian cuisine place, which was really nice. And I set off then to Newport, and I pretty much followed Newport Road until I saw a little turning off, which I took down and just followed along the shoreline, which is really nice. It's a lot of mud flats, but it was a nice stretch to do. And I got into Newport, sort of found a little park. Then it was getting dark, and maybe I shouldn't have sort of set up there, but it's only there for the one night. Got my head down, got into town the next day and did some busking, and did quite well in Newport, which is nice. And met some cool, interesting people. So then after that, I went and had some food, and then I sort of, as I was looking at the maps, I didn't want to just really go back down to the coast, walk through all this Newport industrial area, but I did want to go under the Severn Bridge, the second Severn Bridge. That was something I wanted to do, to sort of take a photo of it. Then if I'd gone up from there, I might not have actually walked into Chepstow, and I've always wanted to see Chepstow, so yeah, I'm admitting it now. I caught a bus from Newport to Chepstow. It's not that much cheating, I don't think. It's still early days for me. I can kind of do what I want in terms of what the Camino is. Some people only walk the last 100 kilometers, and you can still sort of say you've walked it. So it's whatever. It is my journey, and that's by the title, I think some people might actually say, oh, well, you're in Wales there, that's not the Camino, but it's my sort of thing. And the more I looked into it over the years, over the last year, you'd either traditionally start it from your home, or you could start it from jail, and you could reduce your sentence if you agreed to walk it guarded, and you'd carry a big bag as penance. And in some ways, that's sort of what I'm doing. Unfortunately, the only crime I've got is just being so bloody handsome. So, anyway, Chepstow was quite cool. I just pretty much went into a pub. Had a good evening there. Someone noticed the guitar and asked if I wanted to do some songs. So, out came the guitar and I played a bit. It's really nice. Oh, there's an unauthorized. Maybe it's for vehicles. So yeah, play guitar, sang some songs, really good, got some beers. Oh, do not climb on the timber stacks. Fair enough, these are some epic stacks. Wow, I'll show you now. So yeah, I played some songs, did what I do. Yeah, it was a nice evening. Got up the next day, did a bit busking in Chepstow, then popped in. I pretty much had to send all my camera gear back. I had 3.5 kilograms of just the camera, the tripod, the batteries, the charger. I just thought it was a little bit unnecessary when I can just now use this phone. Let's just sort of Turn this around a bit. Look at all that. I'll get in the shade. Stacks of it. Absolute wall of timber. Timber! Cool, isn't it? So yeah, Chepstow was cool. Met the guy Graham and Jen. They were quite cool. I ended up going back to theirs. He was just really worried about where I'd stay, and he sort of was just like, "Oh, there's a lot of crackheads about." And then he pretty much just invited me back to a crack den. It's just like, yeah, I don't want to be here really. So made a nice little exit. Found a nice little church to sleep in. I've been following and looking at a lot of churches and going into them. It's really nice and sort of balancing and thinking a lot about religion and more about history really, and how it sort of just shaped our country, like blah blah blah. So yeah, I did then Chepstow. I crossed the bridge. My leg has been playing up a bit, so I was in a lot of pain doing that. The bridge was very shaky and rattly, which wasn't the nicest. Yeah, I got down to Aust. I sort of had a half a pint in a pub there. I got chatting to the landlord, Rich, who was quite nice. He sort of said, "Oh, people camp in the sort of back field. There's no charge." I was like, "Oh, that's quite cool." And I sort of said, "Well, if you want some music tonight," like he said, "Oh, they've got fireworks and a bonfire going." I was like, "That sounds nice." I pretty much finished my half pint. It was still only like 6 o'clock, and I thought the weather was really nice. I've been listening to The Hobbit on audiobook, so I just chucked that in and just like trekked on, which was really nice. Just really nice little section around Aust. Yeah, found a good spot to camp. Rain was like forecast heavy. I was a bit worried, but fine in the end. Got into Bristol. It was fucking sort of late in the day. It was on a Sunday then, I think, and weather was dreadful, absolutely pissing down. I went to this hostel. They charged 20 quid a night, which is amazing. But they wanted a 20 quid deposit, and I had like no money. So I said, well, the guy there just had such an attitude. So I was just like, right, well, I tapped my guitar, I was like, best get singing. And he was just sort of shook his head, like. So I went out, I bussed for a bit, and I made a little bit, which is good. But still wasn't enough. Sort of carried on to another place. I was in Bristol by the sort of Metro Bank in that sort of centre by there. And like some guy comes up like looking like he was like the singer from My Chemical Romance, or the Used actually, yeah. And he was just like, "God, do you use, bro?" I was like, "Use what?" He was like, "Crack." I was like, "Fuck off," like. So I was busking there, and I pretty just had this mace in my pocket. I've got mace, by the way. My dad bought me some mace because he was worried I was going to have to walk through Grangetown in Cardiff. So a little can of mace and a rape alarm. So fingers crossed I won't have to use them. Yeah, Bristol. I eventually got back to the thing. I was able to like use a couple of euros to like do the deposit thing for the damage deposit thing. So that was all right. And they gave me the bag the next day. Nice little place. There's an American couple there. He was just like heavily snoring. Just didn't even like put in this room, like a shared room with some other guy then. The guy didn't even like put his phone on silent. At one point, it's not super late, but it's like 10, 11 in the evening. And one guy turned the lights off. He's like ready to get some sleep. And this American guy was just there like tick, 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 tick. Like, you know, you could just put your phone on a silent mode. He's just like tapping away. Oh, not the end of the world. I put my headphones in, droned out. Nice shower, warm shower was good. And yeah, this is nice. Just done this nice little bit of woods, and I'm just coming out into this nice big field. So yeah, good shower. Navigate a little bit. Yeah, I don't think I did much more busking then, actually, that day. What did I do? Well, then, yeah, I busked a little bit more in Bristol. Didn't really do that great. And then, yes, I started walking out Bristol, like, sort of towards the, was it Avonsvale or something? This is where I went, like, a couple of years ago. I stayed in a hotel there. But yeah, I just caught a bus then into Radstock. God, I can't believe my memory's gone this bad. But, oh, not Radstock, Salford. Caught the bus there. I could see where I was going on this track, like that I'd get into Bath then the next day. And I found a lovely little spot down by the river. Sang some songs. Just like set up a camp. It was a really nice, peaceful place. And yeah, the next day I walked along the Avon walkway along the Avon riverbank, which was just really nice. Eventually got back onto like the bike path, which is what I've been planning to do. Like, I'm really fortunate that I'm walking through a field right now, because these bike paths are they're draining just on the tarmac. But eventually, yeah, got into the path, got into Bath. So my friend's brother had said he'd bust in Bath, and they had these like little meetings in the mornings, and all the buskers like gather there to plan out who's going to have what pitches. And so I looked online. I could see 10 o'clock by the Abbey. It's like, grand, I'll head there. And I head there. There's a few people there already. Let's have a little chat with them. And yeah, this guy turns up with a whiteboard, and it was only for 2 pitches just outside near the Abbey. One guy said there's plenty of other places around Bath that you can busk, but it's just for these 2 main pitches. They have times and just a timetable. It was very civilized. It was really nice. So I put myself down for this one area because it was smaller than the other, and I didn't really amplify myself. Yeah, and before I played, this opera singer goes up. She had an incredible voice, and she had this like Kiss t-shirt on. She was actually really cool. She said, oh, please, like, she's Australian. Can you please buy my CD so I don't have to go back to my old job of selling drugs to your kids? And like, just like dead response. Like, this is so funny though. So yeah, listen to her. And then I played myself, and I thought, oh gosh. I went into the Abbey, by the way, and got my second stamp. I got a stamp in Bristol, by the way. First actual stamp. Met a vicar there, Johnny, who said a really nice little blessing as well before I left. It was cool. Met another sort of reverend in Bath Abbey. He just pretty much said the same blessing, which is really nice about, I hope I can see God in people along the way, and I hope that others can see God through me, which has like made my ego go nuts. So yeah, did Bath. I just felt really out of place because then I went and listened. I played my first 45-minute set. It didn't go that well, and then sort of just had a little wander. Went and bought some ham and Billy Beer ham and a bit of bread, and just like sat and made a sandwich, listened to this guy Ben, like listening to him play. And I booked myself then on this thing. I had the chance to book myself 2 slots next to each other, so it was like hour and a half slot. They have 45-minute slots. So I thought, right, here we go. And I get about 2-3 songs into it, and I break the D string. I had no spares. I just started panicking a little bit. Luckily, this other busker had walked past, Gary, and I just sort of asked him then, well, where's the nearest music shop? And he actually went up and got this D string, which is great. But yeah, I carried on playing. There was like a big school, sort of like girls' school. So all these girls were like standing around, and some of them were just like chucking a couple of coins. And I think like as soon as the popular girl did it, like everyone, all these other girls started doing it. And but they were sort of just getting in the way of like the walkways and stuff, and it's just a small space. Still did quite well. Then I just sort of had a look around. I saw this guy doing poetry with chalk. And that's it. I bought some chalk as well, just to write on the pavement that I'm like doing the Camino. Jesus Christ. I just drew a little Camino sign and just said I'm heading from Wales to Santiago. So then I could just see bus times. I caught a bus from Bath to Radstock, and I just did a little trek through there. Again, found a nice spot to camp up. Pretty much on this path, because I just saw this rain. The rain was forecast. I bought quite a few cans of like Thatcher's Haze, and I just had a bit of a drink, had some junk food, and just got into my tent then before the rain started. And yeah, walked into Frome in the morning, had a nice little setup. There was a busker there, Ron, with like a cross tattooed on his face. He gave me 6p and a feather. He just thought that was his charm, to give me. And I didn't do too bad in Frome. Had a little wander around market. I planned to get some food and do another evening, sort of afternoon set. Yeah, my mother sent me an Amazon collection thing, this knee brace. So I've got that on at the moment. It seems to be helping, maybe psychologically. And yeah, some of these bike paths, and then I was looking at the circuit, the 24 route, and it actually just goes along some main roads, and I just got a bit panicked then, just thinking, I just like don't like being on the roads. I had to walk on some roads this morning, and it wasn't fun. So there was a part of me that was like, right, do I get now the bus from Frome to Gillingham is where I want to go next, and Shaftesbury? I'll still try and follow this path down. I just thought maybe I'd just get buses to each of these towns, do a bit of busking, and go from there. Like, anyway, I just started walking. I laid my tent out for a while, let it dry off, bought some duct tape and fixed my poles up, which were giving me some grief. And the ground sheet had a few tears in it. I think soon, when I get past Brittany, it'll be like midsummer. I think I'm gonna actually get rid of the tent. Hopefully in Spain I won't need it with the albergues, but I'll get rid of the tent for now. Well, some down and just get a sort of bivvy bag thing. I'm worried about my guitar. I don't want that to be left out in the cold. The temperature drops. I think it'll be all right. Just got to get past that one section and wait for the weather to get warmer. So I need to buy a little tarp to put over, just to make sure if it does rain, I've got something to get under. But I like the idea of just being able to camp out in the stars. That'd be cool. So yeah, I just walked from Frome. I can't actually remember the place I'm heading for now, but there's a pub and I want to get some water, maybe a pint. But I'm quite near Longleat, so if I did set my tent up somewhere tonight and like a freak lion escapes, or a freak accident happens and a lion escapes, like, I am brown bread, that I am good meat for that lion. So I'm not too worried. I'll mace him. So yeah, I guess that's my first weekly update. It's been all right so far. It's tough. I've done quite a bit of walking, but yeah, I've caught some buses as well. Just don't want to make sure people think like, oh, he's just catching buses everywhere. I have. I'm not ashamed of it. Yeah, the real test is like still to come. This is just like early warm-ups. Like my knees hurting a bit. I need to just rest as much as I can. Yeah, it's tough, but it is what it is. So yeah, nice. Round this up to 20 minutes. Here we go. 5 seconds. Goodbye. Bye.